Hello and welcome to Peer Pod episode 4. How are you doing, Dana?
Hello, so I'm doing pretty well on the other side of the world. How are
What
you?
what
I'm
what
on the,
library are you in? This is
I
crazy.
happen I know, right? It's got a lot of books. It's secret, it's top secret. I cannot disclose
Darn,
my look.
darn. I will also not disclose my location because I'm not in a library.
Somewhere in the outskirts of CSUN.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between CSUN
There you
and
go.
downtown LA that I feel like is a broad enough scope.
All right.
Leave your guesses in the comments where we are.
I
Did I actually start recording? I think I did. Yes,
think
I
you
did.
did.
Okay, cool. Um, so what are we talking about today?
All right, today's topic will be Adulting 101. So we'll be discussing a little bit more about growing up, what it feels to grow up, and the challenges that one takes when this responsibility of being an adult is bestowed upon us without a choice. So it is not a choice.
We did not choose this, but now we have to deal with it.
Exactly. So how to deal with it a little easier is more of what we're talking about, I suppose. Yeah.
Fair enough. Um, this idea was birthed from me watching one of my friends make pasta about a decade ago. Um, no tea, no shade, but he didn't realize that you need water to make pasta and almost burnt down his kitchen. And so I was like, dang, there are some things that we all come from different like lenses. So I thought that it would be cool for us to share the skills that we have, if it's like little tips or even questions that we have that other people might have the answers to. So we would love it if our listeners would add like any questions that they have that they would like us to answer down in the comments. So Dana,
Yeah.
would you like to start off with what is your first piece of Adulting 101 knowledge?
Yes, of course. I think this derived from an epiphany. I'm gonna talk about appointments, just doctor's appointments,
Ew!
car maintenance appointments, DMV appointments, that whole concept of having to deal with just, those people or just the situation. So once upon a time, well, not too long ago, actually, I was sitting inside my car, a dealer, and waiting for my car's maintenance to like finish up. It's probably like, well, an hour to 2 hours. And as I sat there with my book and like a cup of coffee, it like hit me. And I was like, hold a minute, like I'm here alone. Like, like I have no I'm just here. I'm here by myself. I've scheduled this appointment. I'm here today. And it's like getting treated like an adult by everybody else. Or they're directing like, oh yeah, just go wait for your car over there. We'll text you, call you, and that's pretty much it. Like the expectation that you should know what you're doing, but you actually don't is kind of the idea that really hit me. Where I'm like, hold up a minute, I'm no longer like 17 anymore. I am officially an adult. Yeah, it was crazy. I think also just the whole doctor's appointments and scheduling them, no longer having your mom or like a parent or a guardian there in general with that moral support with you, I think was a bit challenging at first. Now it's kind of like I just go in and out and I'm just like, whatever, if medication is needed, I just go pick it up from my pharmacy, stuff like that, drive here and there. And it's like an adjustment that just has been a little like 5 years ago, I would have been like, no, I cannot do it without my mom. It's just the whole idea. Or having to deal with those like hour-long calls waiting to be scheduled in, is insane. But it's just kind of like, okay, I'll have my phone like with the little sound, the elevator music on while I'm like either like cleaning my home or just maybe doing some other stuff, working on homework, and like I'll be multitasking these things, and it's just kind of like those moments where you're like, damn, this is all me now, and pressure is a little more heavy, but at the same time, it's like it gets a little easier to navigate as you go. So yeah.
So do you have a tip that helped you like deal with the stress, or what was the stressful part for you?
I think the stressful part, for the most part, was knowing that I no longer had someone to rely on to do it for me, you know, because usually it was my mom who would be like, oh, this Thursday will at 3 p.m. you have your doctor's appointment, your dentist appointment, or like even with my car, it was always like, oh yeah, like I already took it to maintenance, my dad or big brother would kind of make comments about it. But when it got to a point where it was me now scheduling for this, it was a little bit more like, damn, like, okay. It's that whole just changing and shifting your mentality a little bit that if you need help, reach out, like, hey, they're charging me 300 for an oil change. Is this right? It's those questions that I will call my dad or my brother to ask, especially, as a girl alone in a friggin' dealership or like a car repair shop. It's crazy. Whatever it is. You just have to act like, it's kind of like the whole idea of faking it till you making it, which kind of changed my whole concept of things where I'm like, I know what I'm doing. Like, what are you talking about? I know what I'm doing. And as I progressed and I made a couple of mistakes here and there, I feel like just learning it and finally having to deal and be inside that situation that truly pushed me to understand it a little better and just accept that, okay, like I have to make these calls. I have to keep up. I have to write it down in my calendar. I have to keep reminders. I have to take accountability for myself, which was, yeah. I think, yeah, my biggest advice in that is just don't overthink it. Sometimes I feel like if we overthink it, we kind of give ourselves more stress. Yeah. It's just kind of push yourself in that aspect. Write everything down. Trust me, write everything down. Uh, Phone numbers, dates, times, schedules, your Google Calendar, just whatever you use, your agenda, write it down and keep tabs of things. It makes everything a little more easier. That way it's not like, oh, I forgot this or what day was this. It's just, especially with appointments, I think is the biggest thing. We're just writing it down, keeping it tabs in it, making sure you kind of have everything, or just even preparing, what documents you need to take, what you need in the present moment. And as you keep going, the first one is a little scary. And then as you keep moving forward, it becomes a little easier. And you're like, yeah, I got this, It's
Yeah,
adult.
that's some really good advice. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's my side of my adulting world. But how about you, Soph? What have your experiences been like?
For me, my first or second year of college, I went to a community college, and one of my professors said this interesting phrase where he's like, when you're in college, there's a form for everything. Like, never be afraid to ask a question or to see if there's a way that someone else could help you, because probably someone has been in your exact shoes. So never go into a situation assuming that no one's going to help you or that no one's going to understand. Of course, you'll run into people who are kind of mean, but that's not your fault. You know what I mean? It never hurts to put yourself out there and just see. And then it's so nice when you're like, not nice, gratifying is the word I was thinking of, but it's so gratifying when you're like, oh, I didn't think that this was going to work out, but it worked out. And I apply the like concept of forms into my homework assignments too. Like, I recently had an exam for my teaching music and higher education class, which I love that class. Shout out to that class. But I was not really that prepared for my second exam, just because I was in the opera and it was just really hectic, so I didn't really have time to get as prepared. And as I was doing my exam, I had this urge to just not do it. And I started calculating, like, how bad will my grade be if I don't turn it in, or if I say that I slept in and I like, could I have an extension? And then I thought, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I'm just going to put what I think the answers are, and 1 point is better than 0 points. And it ended up working out. My professor was like, your answers were a little brief. You should have like explained a little bit more, but I got an A, so that was nice. Um, so that's my new adult mentality, and it's still something that I'm working on. It's definitely a process because it could be very awkward to put yourself out there when you're not entirely sure. But I recently also had a car experience where I had to go to a tire shop, and the man was very nice. Shout out to Northridge Tire Pros, not sponsored, but he was like, "This tire is going to cost this much, and you have to do this and this and this." And I was like, "What?" And so I just kept asking questions, and he's like, "You know what? I like you. You're not just like letting it go past your ears. You're trying to understand what's happening. So good on you." So you never know what could happen from you asking questions. Of course, like with anything in life, there is a balance between how many questions you should ask. But that's a different topic. So that's my advice. Never be afraid to do a little bit more research and see if there is a resource out there for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree. I feel like trial and error is a lot to do with learning, but also questions and really acquiring that knowledge and just making sure you convoke your communication skills out there is really, yeah, definitely. Thank you for those tips, Soph. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you for your tips, Dana.
of course. Yeah, cars, right? They give us a lot of problems.
But they're very helpful as a person who didn't have a car for a very long time. It's so nice to not have to wake up extra early to have to walk. So I empathize and sympathize with people who don't have cars because I know the struggle.
Oh yeah, no,
So
community can be difficult sometimes. Yeah, definitely, I agree. Yeah, so I mean, from both of our parts, that's just kind of what we've pretty much grabbed from our very vast, vast world of knowledge as pre-adults. So
not to date ourselves, but
no, we're still getting the what's it
the
called?
hang of it.
There you go.
But that's a nice part because no one I really resonated when you said like I'm at the dealership and people just see an adult. They don't see like a child, even
But
though I sometimes I forget that. Not that I act like a little kid, but I don't take myself that seriously sometimes. And then I remember like, oh my God, the person who's looking at me right now doesn't see what I feel like they see a
right.
full-on adult. So I have to like um
Yeah.
I have to act like it or ask for help. So, and the cool thing
It's
is we're in college where we're learning, so it's not like you don't have to do everything perfectly all the time. We get a lot of leeway, except with taxes. Do your taxes correctly.
oh yeah, that's a whole different topic.
That's a different topic that I know nothing about. That's the one thing that maybe you should you should double check.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a huge part in what takes in adulting is no longer just feeling, but also looking the part where it's like, yeah, you're older now. You should be kind of known to do things. And that's kind of the funny part because of us don't know what we're doing. It's like we're just acting like we know what we do, or we're just kind of going with it with the, or at least trying our best to know how to do it, which is a huge part of what I think makes adulting hard. The expectation of what we should and what we shouldn't know or do. Yeah. And yeah, it was a huge epiphany for me that morning because I was like, I just got there and then people were already talking to me and I'm like, oh, like okay, I don't have my big brother here. I don't have my dad here. I'm here alone. So like, yeah, it was like, okay, I'm seeing it as an adult. Okay, now I have to like really know what I'm doing. But yeah, yeah.
Totally.
In life, but yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
Any
that
last comment?
the thing that you said about most adults don't really know what they're doing. They're just good at faking it. That was the thing that blew my mind the most as I've gotten older, where I was like, wait, adults don't. I mean, some adults know what they're doing, which, like, shout out to them. But being an adult doesn't mean you have all of the answers. You're just good at, like, either faking it till you make it, like you said, or being able to learn how to learn, which I think
Right.
is the whole point of being in school. It's not so much, yes, the degree itself is important, but it's also the knowledge that you get on how to do research or like how to ask for help in a kind of like soft environment where you're not going to get uh, penalized
Yeah,
as
exactly.
harshly, depending on what you do. Disclaimer. So
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I agree. I agree. And yeah, it's insane. The whole knowing, really, like the whole knowledge of the age, like that comes with age and experiences. I feel like is a huge part that takes place in, um, like just from personal experience. I feel like the best I've learned is not necessarily making the mistake myself, but also watching others, you know, observing people, listening to other people, and also maybe even like moments where I have like dealt with similar situations where I'm like, okay, like I think I know how to handle this now. And I feel like that's a huge part too, you know. It's sometimes it's like it's not a number that gives you your age, but also the wisdom and knowledge that you have, which also, you know, plays in part, right?
totally,
Maturity. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, don't let anyone obviously 18 is a very important number, but it doesn't necessarily show how much you know. So never let anyone ever say like, "Well, you're 22, like what could you possibly know?" Again, we all come from different lenses. So
Exactly. Yeah.
don't let your age stop you from achieving things that you want to achieve.
Right, right. Yeah. Or like the expectation that, oh, you're 22, you should already know what you're doing, or like you're graduating, like you should have everything set. Like that's not true because first of all, like age doesn't determine where you're supposed to be in life. Like everyone's
Exactly.
so yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
we just lived through a whole pandemic and everything, or panorama, as people say. So we're allowed to not know exactly what we're doing. We had a whole like almost 2 years of just being online and debriefing from all of that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
ask ask questions and yeah, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I saw this
Yeah.
crazy thing on TikTok where this guy was like, I started doing rejection therapy. And I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, I go into restaurants and I ask for something I know isn't on the menu so that I get comfortable with people telling me no. And it's made me such a confident person now because I'm like desensitized to being rejected, not in the sense like yes, no means no, don't desensitize yourself to
Right, right.
that,
No, 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 no. Yeah.
but the idea of like specifically because that's my one of my worst fears. I'll be like, could I have one of these please? And they'll be like, we have that, not this. And I'll be like, oh, that's so embarrassing, oops.
Yeah, no, no, no. And that's a very interesting topic that I feel like, yeah, the pandemic kind of stopped us because we stopped socializing, we stopped connecting, we stopped like really experiencing these moments in real life. And it's just like if we ever do think we know what we're talking about, it's more like just made up experiences. But something similar that I learned too was in my self-defense class where it's like, you know, when somebody comes up to you and it's like starts like squaring up and like, hey, like, you know, give me your money or you know, whatever it may
The
be.
earrings come off.
Right, 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 right. But like the moment you like, let's say somebody does, which I hope no one experiences this, but like somebody like throws a punch at you, like what do? You stay kind of in shock, you know, if you are trained or you know what you're doing, you've had previous like self-defense classes or I don't know, taekwondo, karate, anything it may have been, you might know what's coming. But for those of individuals who don't, who've never been actually hit, it's kind of like what do? You stay frozen. And it's kind of like what you said, like you kind of just like, oh, okay, this person just said no to me. Like, how do I take this? It's a whole like shock that kind of rails all over you. And yeah, self-defense, my self-defense professor was saying like you have to learn to kind of not necessarily know how to hit, but just be prepared for it. And also learn to be hit, kind of thing. You know, it's yeah. So I think that's a pretty good topic that you brought up, where it's like not necessarily knowing exactly how things will go, but just preparing for the expectation of things and how to react to it, where it's not taking it too personal. Like, oh, okay, you know, it's not a shock, but just that knowledge acquired through constant experiences. Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah. Very good topic you brought up, which I relate to a lot. So, yeah, I feel that. Yeah. It's crazy though, because a lot kind of stopped because of the pandemic. So, yeah.
Totally. Hmm. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. Life after pandemic. But yeah, it's crazy. So
So, pivoting from adulting, I I played a fun game with my roommate yesterday. The Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader against Alexa. And so I thought I sent Dana the list of questions. So I thought that maybe we don't have to play for like a long time, but I thought it would be fun. You pick a couple questions and I try to answer, and then I'll ask you a couple questions and you try to answer.
all right. Let's
Or
see
this
what we
could end up as a blooper. We'll see.
there you go. Probably.
If I get
Probably.
at least one question wrong, I'm trashing the whole episode.
Yeah. We could probably just see how this goes. Sorry, my internet seems to be very slow right now.
It's okay.
Okay.
I was gonna sing the Jeopardy theme song, but that's a different show.
Yeah. Okay. Do I just ask you like random?
Sure, go for it.
Gosh, these are hard. What? Okay. Okay. This is a math question.
Okay.
For those of you who do not know me, I'm an art major. Numbers and we don't collaborate. Maybe except for like measuring whatever. Anyways, that's another topic. All right, ready for the question?
Sure.
Okay. How many inches are there in 2 yards?
That's mean. That's a mean question. A yard. Okay, I know that 1 meter is like 3 feet, and a yard is about that much.
How many inches are in 3 feet?
I'd guess like 72. Wait, no, that sounds too little. Wait a second. I take it
Okay.
back. Wait, let me think through it one more time. We're cutting this question out. Um, wait.
Is 72 your final answer?
No,
You
because now I'm
sure?
overthinking it. Is it 72? I'll stick with 72. What the heck?
It is 72. You're
Yes!
insane. That's insane. What the heck? I was
Because for
gonna
a split
not let it
second, I was like, did I multiply that wrong in my head? Like, did I forget to carry the two? Okay, anyway.
All right, maybe we can go with just two more questions and then you hit me.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, what is the capital of New York?
New York! Uh, is it, wait, it's not New York City, it's Albany?
Wow, Soph, you are definitely smarter than fifth grader. All right. Third time, third question. Well, why do I feel like I'm giving you easy ones?
Luckily, you're not next to me, so you don't see how much I'm sweating.
There are so many number ones. Okay, true or false?
Okay.
Actually, no, I don't like that question. Wait. Okay. Do you like math?
Not particularly.
Okay.
That's why I'm
Oh,
a that's why I'm a music major, not STEM. STEM is jail, remember? You made the Monopoly board.
you're right. What was the name of the first satellite pulled into orbit by the United States?
Pulled into orbit. The first isn't it the International Space Station, or is that not
No, so the name of the satellite.
the satellite? I don't know. I feel like I should know, but I don't remember.
It was called the Explorer.
Okay.
Okay, I did kind of make it hard. I'm
That's
sorry.
no, that's fine. I feel like that's one of those things I heard once and didn't
I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. So it
it's
doesn't.
okay.
Okay,
Okay,
go.
your turn.
Oh gosh.
Mm, okay. I feel like how familiar are you with presidents of the United States?
Kind of familiar, but I don't want to give myself too much credit for that.
Okay.
I
Mm,
like history, but I'm bad at memorizing names and numbers.
in the word unnecessary, what is the prefix?
Wait, isn't it on?
Yes, you're right.
Why did I overthink that?
That's the trippy thing. There were so many times when I was playing yesterday where I was like, no, it can't be that simple. But do you
Yeah.
remember when those questions were hard? I'd be like, prefix, what the heck? And now I
Thanks.
think it's too easy.
Right? Okay, okay,
That's the
okay.
real adulting 101.
There you go. Yeah.
Um, what country has the longest border with the United States?
Ooh, what country? Isn't
Yes.
it Canada?
Yes, you're right.
Okay. I'm like, what country is next to United States?
How many times does 7 divide into 49?
7 times.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Damn, I'm so happy because I'm terrible at math.
Oh, okay. Here's a life or death question. True or false? The kangaroo is a marsupial.
What's a marsupial? I'm gonna go. You know what's funny? I actually read that question. I don't remember the answer. I'm gonna go true.
You're correct. Okay. Sudden death. Um,
Okay, I'm good. My instincts are hitting in. I'm just gonna guess.
okay, last question. True or false? The human shoulder is a ball and socket joint.
The human shoulder is a ball and socket joint. That's interesting. False?
Womp womp.
Oh man.
It's true.
Okay.
Because your
Wow.
hips are a ball and socket and your shoulder. Because then
Okay.
you can rotate it in a circle.
See, as an animator, I should know this. With joint.
Because you did it, I think you did anatomy, like
Yeah.
anatomical drawing. So I was like, I feel like she would know this, but
See, I know how it looks visually, but I don't know the names verbally, so that's funny.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. All right, so that was fun actually. I feel like we should make a whole Are You Smarter Than Fifth Grader whole trivia thing. I
I'm
think
so, it felt really gratifying where I was like, I'm using my brain in different ways than I
it's
have before.
like hidden knowledge you didn't know you had.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right, yeah, that was definitely fun. Well, it was nice talking to you
It was
and
nice talking to you too.
adulting tips and just I guess feeling a little less alone as an adult in this very vast world of independence. So yeah, yeah.
Truth. Okie dokie. Well, we'll see you next time on the
And
Pure Pod.